Got a question for you boys. What do we need out of the next president of the United States?
Well, he shouldn't be Donald J. Trump.
Okay, that's one important one, I would say. I'd say a lot of the problems that I hope that a future president of the United States would address would be the problems created by current president of the United States, Donald Trump, who seems to dominate our news cycle with bullshit.
Problems that he creates.
Problems abound.
I was going to say the number one quality a president should have would be being really good at working with Congress, like LBJ was or something. Actually get Congress to pass substantial legislation that makes people's lives better in the U.S. Healthcare reform would be a low-hanging fruit, for example.
Low-hanging?
Well, I mean low-hanging fruit in the sense that it's easy to see something is wrong. If you fixed it, a lot of people would be like, holy shit, that was great. What a great thing for our president to do.
Yeah, I
guess so.
That's
I like
excellent.
the idea of that.
I think that's excellent. First answer to this question. I mean, I wasn't thinking so much. I haven't been thinking that much about the qualities that we need from the next president, as much as like the actions that we need from the next president. And like one action that I think is really important is basically a constitutional amendment to get rid of the pardon power and to nullify pardons. And I think there has to be criminal accountability for the insane criminality that we're dealing with, and Trump's going to blanket pardon everybody. So that can't happen without, if you don't work really well with Congress, that is not possible.
Sure, constitutional amendment. That's like the number one. That's the
step one.
That's the 100% on highest difficulty of the United States government. That's all achievements and all collectibles. If you can get that passed, you literally go in the history books. Yeah, I think that is like the pardon power. I was thinking about that the other day. Do you think if we get a constitutional amendment to get rid of the pardon power, does the last president to have it just get some pardons to get their sillies out? A couple of pardons for old time's sake before the amendment goes through.
Before they get nullified. I mean, you're right. Sorry, my version of this amendment includes nullifying existing pardons. What qualities do you think the next president should have? Or, whatever. I could say things like honest.
Straight hair.
Smart.
A real tan.
A good heart. Ethical.
I'll say this. I was thinking about this question because I don't know who on the Republican side is thinking about the job. And frankly, that's a bridge that I can emotionally cross later. But on the Democrat side, the side where I have some vote in the primary for, a current frontrunner is California Governor Gavin Newsom. And there are some things that I think that the next president of the United States needs to do, and some qualities they need to have that I just don't think he has.
All right, hit us.
Okay.
Well,
but he's got good hair.
Hit us by slamming him. Yeah.
He does have good hair, right? And I'm not imagining that, am I?
I mean, it's subjective, but yes, he has thick, luscious hair.
It's subjective, but yes.
He has a powerful trapezoid of hair. One thing that I think the next president needs to do is abolish or greatly demilitarize and reduce the presence of ICE. I would say abolish. I think that the damage done to the organization this administration is not recoverable. That you couldn't possibly root out all of the bad hires that they've acquired in this administration. They've ceased functioning as a law enforcement agency. They are just roving goons harassing people that they can get away with harassing. They're out in Minnesota in force right now. They're not in California pulling that shit, and they're not in Texas pulling that shit where people are a little heavier armed. They are just antagonizing and being violent, and they're just stormtroopers for the current administration. And when you knock out someone with stormtroopers, either by elections, fingers crossed, or however else Trump decides to leave office, you got to get rid of the stormtroopers. They got to go. Fingers crossed. It's firing time.
All right. So you
But,
don't think that Gavin would get that done? You don't think he agrees?
You might. You know, he has been repeatedly out there saying some anti-ICE things. I got a quote from him. He claimed that the ICE raids were a form of authoritarian government. He said, people ask, well, is authoritarianism, are you being hyperbolic? Bullshit. We're being hyperbolic. These are not just authoritarian tendencies. These are authoritarian actions by an authoritarian government. Hell yeah.
And I remember when there was like 100 ICE agents that kind of, what were they? This was in Little Tokyo, right outside of an event where he was speaking in LA. I think he's been pretty, there's been a good, healthy animosity between Gavin Newsom and ICE. So I don't know if you don't like Gavin.
What I need is a commitment, a firm commitment to this. And I hate to speak ill of a fellow podcaster. We need solidarity amongst us colleagues, but I'm going to call it as I see it. In a recent interview he had with Ben Shapiro, friend of the show.
Is he?
In that he's the kind of scumbag we would mention on a show.
That does.
Subject of the show. Definitely not a friend of the show.
Fellow human being, yes. You can give him that.
So Ben Shapiro called Newsom out for saying abolish ICE. He asked him about abolishing ICE, and Newsom said, I disagreed with abolishing ICE when I think a candidate for president by the name of Harris said that in the last campaign. I remember being on Chris A's hours later thinking it's a mistake. Absolutely. What a confusing quote. Basically, he says it's a bad idea to abolish ICE.
I didn't see this, and I haven't paid much attention to him saying anything about this. This kind of reminds me of the phrase defund the police, which lots of people said that, but I don't think it's like a particularly popular opinion that police should be defunded. Meaning, I'm not saying like that lots of people don't think that, but I'm saying that most people don't think that. And like when it comes to ICE, it's like, what do I think should happen to ICE? Like, yeah, maybe what you said, that their ranks are so full of bad apples that you should start over with your staff when it comes to enforcing immigration. I can believe that. Like, I could see that, like, politically, you wouldn't want to just say abolish ICE. It's just like a very sort of like confrontational phrase for this idea.
First of all, I think that lots of people are pretty wishy-washy on this, and they need to be firmer on it. And I think that a future president would need to be pretty firm on it because there would be pushback. But yeah, ICE is a redundant organization if they are doing the job of law enforcement, because there's the Border Patrol and the Department of Homeland Security.
All of us are older than ICE, right? It's from Bush era.
Yep.
Immigration law got enforced before that. It wasn't just the Wild West that recently.
Yeah, and there's no reason for it to be as big as it is now.
Even just the word abolish is weird in this phrase to me. So like it's a slogan, right? Abolish ICE.
I'd make it very simple for you. Just fire everyone who is in the department and sell off the assets, and that's it. No more. No more ICE.
I always even just found it weird that they to use the word abolish for this, right? Because like a government, it's like, don't you abolish? Isn't like abolishing like to make some practice in society illegal, right? Like we're going to abolish slavery.
Just
right?
means to end. It doesn't have to mean.
It's like to outlaw something, right?
No,
isn't it abolish?
We want to get rid of ICE. Well, how would you phrase that?
Get rid of ICE, or like dissolve ICE. Dissolve ICE?
Well, that's confusing because ICE melts. It doesn't dissolve.
Maybe say like reset ICE, start over. Like
I don't want to start it over. I want to end it. I think the most common association you were having is with slavery, the abolition of slavery.
Right. Okay, outlaw is there. It's number 20 on the list of synonyms.
Phil wants to abolish ICE. Gavin Newsom doesn't.
Right. Also, just in terms of his commitment to kind of lowering the temperature on the militarization of the police, he has a pretty spotty record. He vetoed a bill in California that would make it illegal to manufacture, modify, sell, or transfer or operate robotic devices, equipment, weapons, because he thought they would be beneficial to law enforcement. So he wants the police to have drones with guns on them.
Couldn't he have just put in a law enforcement exemption then? Kind of seems like he wants everyone to have drones with guns on them, dude.
I mean, he's vetoing. They don't have line item.
I don't think you can do that as the governor. I don't think you can.
Yeah, but he's
like,
also kind of like
put in
the
a
leader of the
provision.
California Democratic Party, so he could have shaped the legislation to be such that he didn't have to veto it. But that's all right. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. He was unhappy with the version of the bill that came across his desk. And, as we go through these, I expect I will probably get pushback on these because this is not Trump we're talking about. And like anyone compared to Trump seems like fucking Jesus Christ themselves in terms of just how much better we think they would be. But this is a dreaming segment. I'm daring to dream big. I want something better than the going
Democrat.
back to brunch or whatever it is that
Yeah.
most establishment Democrats really want. I want a better future for my children, and I think part of that is having a police force that is not equipped with tanks and drone mounted guns. They do just fine with fucking billy clubs in the UK. I think we can lower the temperature on that arms race just a little bit. I don't think Gavin's committed to it. A big one, probably my number one, well, I'll get to my number one. My number two requirement for a future leader is they are going to fight for the common people and try to claw back some of the power from billionaires that has been taken away in this administration. This has been like a huge coup for the billionaire class, the big, beautiful bill, and just all the tax cuts to the upper class and the handouts to the upper class and the cuts of government programs that fundamentally benefit the poor and the middle class. We are a long way off of where we need to be. And there's a lot of fighting to be done. And I think we need someone who's going to be committed to that fight. Well, he did have, he was raised by a single mother who worked 3 jobs. That was the only counterpoint that I had for this particular section. He's got his start in California politics with generous grants from the Getty fortune. He made friends with Gordon Getty, the oil heir, who funded his early business ventures, and he's been known to give out sort of political favors to the rich people who donate to his campaigns. Like famously, there was a
Basically, if you look up establishment Democrat in the dictionary, you'll see Gavin's face smiling back at you.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Right. Okay. So there's a minimum wage law in California, and Newsom put in an exemption for businesses that bake and sell bread. Not coincidentally, this exemption included 24 Panera Bread bakery cafes owned by Greg Flynn, a businessman who donated $164,800 to Newsom's campaigns.
So does Panera Bread count as a bakery? Like, do they actually bake any bread there anymore? Ever?
Is there
They sell
bread like
bread.
Subway's bread that's more yoga mat than bread?
I think Panera Bread does break bread. I was just in a Panera Bread.
And did you see them baking bread? Don't leave us in suspense here.
Yeah, I mean, I saw ovens. I saw people working the ovens.
That could be for reheating bread.
I know.
That could be for cooking chicken.
I'm
Be a
Googling as
Holocaust
fast as I
scenario.
can. I'm not satisfied with your AI answer.
If you work at Panera and you know the answers, leave a comment.
Yes, they do. Yes, sort of, but not really. Some stores still make the dough fresh. Some get their dough from a manufacturer and then bake it in-house.
I mean,
But
if you're
yes, they bake bread.
Right. I don't think that the loophole was for stores that make their own dough and bake bread.
A more concrete example of Newsom's wavering commitment to fighting the billionaire class is that he is outspoken against the proposed billionaire tax for the proposition ballot this fall. He claimed it would isolate California from the rest of the country. Newsom told Politico that he had an all-hands effort to stop the proposal that included him personally meeting with the SEIU president. Sounds like it didn't work because the proposal's going forward.
So if he actually believes that this is going to be like California shooting itself in the foot, right? Then
Right.
then yeah, I mean, it makes sense that he would be against it, but yeah,
It's lame sauce, dude. Fuck that shit.
Yeah,
Tax
that's
the
weak.
billionaires.
I think probably his strongest quality, and I think why people like him so much and why he does appear to be such a front runner for Democratic Party nomination, is that my number one thing, which I alluded to earlier, is we need a clean break from just everything Trump. Just an end to Trumpism and just as fresh a start as we can get from the previous administration. And Newsom is famously very critical of Trump. He likes to make satirical posts in the style of the president's, very particular way of speaking, which are very popular.
he makes stupid tweets.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he just likes to just troll the president on Twitter, basically. Like he had a repost where he was mocking the tacky update to President Trump's White House, the with the rose garden. We put like a little image there with, labeling it the pedo garden. Critical,
So
certainly.
I think what you're saying is you find this acting like Trump as a parody. You'd think that that's Trump. He's being Trump-like, and that makes him not a clean break
No.
from Trumpism. No, okay.
No, I said this is his strongest quality.
This is his strongest quality. Okay.
I understand that it's satire.
Okay, it was like, I'm not with you. I don't get it. Yeah.
However, I think he's not as big of a jump as he initially might seem. Though he is very vocally critical, he shares a lot in common with the current president.
Old rich white guy is like another old rich white guy. Incredible, dude.
He's pretty young. I mean,
Hey,
politician-wise, he's a spring chicken.
Go easy on old rich white guys, okay? I mean, sheesh. Like, they don't need to be compared to Donald Trump. I mean, Donald is a special boy.
Well, he has things in common that you might find surprising. His ex-wife, Kimberly Guilfoyle, is now married to Donald Trump Jr.
Ooh, so you're saying she has a type, and it is like kind of like American Psycho after he's
I'm saying
elected.
if she does have a type, then it doesn't speak well to Gavin Newsom. I'll say that.
Yeah.
His character.
I mean, she herself just seems kind of crazy. It goes the other way, too. I mean, like, if she was his type, I've seen her speak a couple times. I don't really remember other than just thinking she seemed batshit crazy. Does that track?
I mean, if she married Donald Trump Jr., you'd have to be crazy to do that, dude.
I mean, or just like a fantastic gold digger. But anyway.
Surely there are better targets than Donald Trump Jr.
She's like a Fox News commentator. Is that right? Kimberly Guilfoyle? I'm not really sure who she is, other than Gavin Newsom's ex-wife.
How many people has he married?
I think a lot, which is another similarity he shares with the current president.
Good. It looks like he's only been married twice, right?
He's also happy to solve his problems with violence. He's been very pro-sweep of homeless encampments as a solution to the homeless crisis in California, which, when you sweep encampments, this has been shown to lead to the deaths of people doing it for optics, I think, which is another thing he shares with the current president.
Right. I mean, he's a politician, right? It's like, right, yeah, he does things for optics and to look tough. He doesn't use actually bold language. He doesn't use the language that you like for ICE. Yeah, I mean, right, like Danny was saying, mainstream Democrat, the textbook definition. I have some beef with Gavin. I remember after like the worst debate I've ever seen when Joe Biden fell into a coma on stage. I remember he was in this. Gavin
he
was in the
abolished a
spin
coma
room.
on stage.
He abolished a coma. Yeah, he said something to the effect of in the spin room afterwards that Biden had won on substance and Biden had not won on any dimension. And okay, you're in the spin room, right? He's a politician. He goes into spin rooms and lies. He spins. He sells. Anyway, so that just ability to deny reality is to deny the obvious reality that everyone saw was pretty upsetting. I also have a leafy green with Gavin, which is, I guess, the opposite of a beef. So I seem to remember.
I have a flesh to massage, the opposite of a bone to pick.
Yeah, I mean, So he was mayor of San Francisco when we were growing up in the Bay Area, and San Francisco started. I mean, I don't remember the exact sequence of events, but I remember San Francisco started issuing marriage licenses to gay couples, and this was fairly early on in the what is now a completed national process of legalizing gay marriage. And so he was early on that issue and kind of went out on a limb on that issue, is how I remember it. So I think
He issued the first gay marriage licenses personally, I believe, and they were later struck down by the California court, I think. But yeah, he was way ahead of the charge, well, way ahead of the curve on gay marriage, which is definitely a great thing and something he can be proud of. But I think a lot of establishment Democrats have lots of things that I like about them, and actions I think they should be proud of and stand by. But if there's anyone besides like Kamala Harris who screams establishment Democrat to me currently, it's Gavin. I think if we elect someone like Gavin to the office of president, we're gonna slide back like the same way we slid back with Biden. Biden wasn't equipped for the job. He was an establishment Democrat. He did some good things. He did some bad things. He just didn't deliver on what was needed. I think we need someone who's going to address the serious problems in a way that I don't think establishment Democrats are ready to address.
I would say, yeah, I think that's fair. I would be okay with a return to establishment Democrats. Obviously, that would be a huge improvement over where we are now. And I'd also say for all the shortcomings of Biden and his many shortcomings on policy, outside of Gaza, he was hitting in the 80% with me. I thought he was doing. And anyway, but that is a big thing. Israel Gaza was a big thing. Also, of course, his decision to run for re-election, a huge error in my book. But I guess my point is, Democratic policies are actually generally pretty smart, if modest, pretty incrementally improving things. And if that's all we get, I think we can feel good about our prospects over the long run of moving the direction, or, of moving the country bit by bit in a better direction. But I also think that I hope that people are being woken up by this shitstorm and seeing sort of the rot in our institutions, in our society, and seeing this as an opportunity. And I think you're right to think that we have an opportunity for a lot more.
I think it is an opportunity for a lot more, but it's also a necessity for a lot more. The Republicans are not playing the same game that the Democrats are playing. The Democrats are doing their thing, just making incremental changes, and the Republicans come in and they take those incremental changes and they throw them off the table and throw gasoline on the table and light it on fire. And incremental changes are gone. They've been dealt with. There needs to be a similar radical change in the other direction from the current status quo to just kind of get back to a point where incremental change would even make sense.
I think Democrats need to get back to a point where they're actually able to help people's lives get better, not just slow down the getting worse.
Yeah, an interesting thing about Gavin and how, Republicans don't play by the same rules. Gavin was the most prominent proponent of the California ballot measure to gerrymander California's congressional districts, to redraw the maps. So he seems to me to understand that Republicans are not playing by the same rules, and he's ready to fight fire with fire in general. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like by your criteria, you maybe Gavin might be your guy. Who has more effectively fought against this?
The argument I'm trying to make here is that he puts on the appearance of a lot of the things that someone might want, but underneath that, he's a lot more like the old guard than his abrasive online personality and his willing to fight fire with fire might suggest.
By the way, Kamala proposed an unrealized capital gains tax during in the early days of her campaign. Quickly, a lot of the people who backed her, whatever, screamed and squawked and talked her out of it. But I think it's interesting that our system incentivizes politicians who are basically just like insane, extraordinarily power-hungry, cutthroat people, but also like a lot of people who want to do good. I think there are a lot of people like that who get into politics, and the power corrupting, it all happens. But, you talked about LBJ, right? Example of a politician who had all the traits of a politician who got tremendous things done for ordinary people and clearly cared about that, right? And I think Kamala would have been a good president. I think she actually cares about people. I don't know what to think about Gavin, but, it's not like I have huge faith in these people, but yeah, maybe he cares about people too.
I'm not going to give up ahead of time on what is good enough. I'm going to advocate for what I think is actually needed, not what I think is going to stem the bleeding a little bit. I want someone better. And if you know what you want, then let us know what that is in the comments, and like and subscribe.
Tell us which of the three of us you'll be voting for in the Democratic primary.